As she sits at home in heart, Lois remembers being fired by her daughter. Flora says she witnessed what transpired and brings her some sweet tea. She tells Lois, "You did a bang-up job on the show." She was then let go by her own daughter. According to Lois, it's the least she deserves. She only wanted to protect her daughter, but this was almost unforgivable, according to General Hospital spoilers for July 21st to 25th. Flora promises to keep it to herself, but she tells Lois that she must let everything out. There are no more secrets, yet Lois thanks her. When Lucy called, Lois believed Brooklyn was prepared to move on, but she was mistaken. Her daughter is more irate than ever right now. Lois turned to her mother, who had very clear beliefs, because she just wanted what was best for Brooklyn and the baby. She describes everything that transpired with Flora. She understands the entire story, including Lois's suffering over never coming clean. Lois maintains that she would stop at nothing to mend the connection between Gio and Brooklyn. Even though she would still make the same choice now as she did years ago, perhaps she ought to have told her daughter first, and then let her decide whether or not to tell Gio, given that they were living together. Flora maintains that she is not at fault. She looked to the person she trusted the most because she was young and wanted to do the right thing. She wasn't the first to tell the untruth. Her mother was the first. When Portia calls Isaiah into her office, he quickly notices her behavior and fears he has been dismissed. "No," she says. "Yes, she is." She refuses to explain her departure to Isaiah, who is stunned. He will soon discover the truth. Is this related to Curtis's situation? Portia claims that although it has to do with her job, the board would probably request her resignation. Her integrity and identity must be compromised in order to prevent this from occurring. But according to Isaiah, she makes a great co-chief of staff. She will be missed. He will miss her. Isaiah simply responds, "Honor what you know is right and go down swinging," after she thanks him for his support. Lucas discovers Chase at the police station and informs him that Sonny abducted Marco, putting him in hot water. He has been absent for more than 24 hours. Chase maintains that nothing Lucas says implicates Sonny, despite Lucas's attempts to explain his reasoning. "I can't bring someone in on a hunch." In the meantime, Sonny telephones Sidwell, who assures him that he will have what he desires. Sonny ends the call as Laura arrives in her office, apologizes for being late, and inquires about his well-being following Nina's interview. "And I expect to get what I want in return." "It's time to break things up," Sonny tells her. He will if she doesn't do it with him. Sonny tells Laura about all of his issues, from Natalia to Nina, even though she doesn't want to hear it. "You have to cut ties at least for now. Eventually, though, the negative publicity will probably stop." He says it's just a sensation. However, Laura is unwilling to fall for Sidwell's intimidation tactics. After apologizing when his phone rings, Sonny answers Turner's call and is instructed to come down to the station immediately. After speaking with the mayor, he is welcome to stop by. She would hate to dispatch officers to bring him in, but she knows he's there. Laura says he's free to leave and she won't give in for political reasons. Sonny approaches the police station and insists on knowing his purpose. "Because Marco isn't here," says Turner. "He also abducted him. No evidence exists." Lucas is certain that Sonny abducted Marco, according to ADA Turner. Sonny leans down to murmur, "We both know you got nothing." He asks whether she misses him. Sidwell does what Sonny wants. For the time being, Martin and Jordan sit on the couch while Drew allows Sidwell in and inquires about what's happening. He must cease attacking Sonny and rescind his support for Measure C. What? They must not give up and must continue to push. Sidwell concurs, but they are no longer able to work with him. The difference can be made by Tracy's. Martin is far too pleased to inform Tracy of the news. After he leaves, Sidwell informs Jordan and Drew that even for him, the cost of going on would be too great. His son was abducted by Sonny. They must continue because, according to Drew, this is vintage Sonny. Jordan, however, asserts that they can imprison Sonny and bring Anna in. Jens will not accept it. It's too risky. But as soon as Marco is safe, he will retaliate. Sonny will pay. In ways that he has never dreamed of. The other two are concerned about the type of reprisal that might occur, and Drew advises against it if it is similar to what occurred at Charlie's. Maybe he needs to get Marco home safely before he can use Measure C to reclaim the piers. Jordan then immediately goes to Laura to tell her everything. Fortunately, Sidwell is withdrawing the funds for his campaign against Sunny. The bad news? Marco is being held captive by him until Sidwell complies with his demands. Laura's shocked. That is a serious charge. Is there evidence? Only the actions and words of Sidwell. Alright, Laura inhales and goes over everything. Sunny might no longer be the lesser of two evils, according to Jordan. He might be as awful as Sidwell. Tracy and Brooke Lynn spar over family. Tracy tells Brooke Lynn that it's Joe's day off when they meet at the Metro Court pool. Additionally, she wishes to commemorate her granddaughter's home and heart debut. After telling her about Lucy's antics, Brooke Lynn acknowledges that she might have had good intentions. They got along well after the initial shock of seeing her mother subsided. Brooke Lynn says no, but Tracy's anxious mother and daughter patch things up. She dismissed her mother. Tracy is overjoyed, but Brooke Lynn tells her to stop. Up until the segment's conclusion it felt good, but then she recalled the hurt and falsehoods. Tracy gives her her full support retroactively, and then complains when Martin appears. Did you realize that you're like a weed? He informs him right now that she must pay for the campaign against Sunny herself. Sidwell stopped endorsing. Why? She will need to cover the sizable financial deficit, but Martin is unable to talk about that. Alright. She will manage it. Fully financed. The nicest thing of this is that you won't have to deal with Sidwell, Drew, or Martin anymore. Feel free to slither away to your overlord. Martin departs after a few more insults are exchanged. Brooke Lynn wishes that she hadn't heard it. She was unaware that Tracy was involved in the effort to unseat Sunny. Whether she and Sunny like it or not, Gio makes them family. Gio will suffer if Sunny is harmed. She can't let it go because of him. Tracy warns her granddaughter that before Sunny ruins Joe's life, she must get him out of Port Charles. She thinks he is a danger to him. Are you really able to correct me? Willow is excited for her wedding. Willow hand-delivers a printed invitation to Liz's wedding while she is at the hospital. Elizabeth exclaims, "Ah, it's so lovely." Willow is happy to be attending. She was a little concerned that nobody would show up. She will formally become Mrs. Drew Kane tomorrow. Willow sobs as she realizes the children won't be attending the wedding, despite Liz's assurances that it would be magical. She really does miss them. However, tomorrow is all about moving on and ideally getting the kids back as well. Thanks to Drew for everything. I assume you're in there somewhere as well? Liz asks hesitantly. After Lucky leaves him a money pit of a cabin, Isaiah approaches Liz and makes fun of her. However, he will rise to the challenge of renovating. He has too much work to accomplish to attend Willow's wedding. However, they are both relieved that she is content. Liz says, relatively speaking, the drama surrounding Drew isn't ending. I just hope marrying Drew will make Willow as happy as she thinks it will. After being called into Portia's office, Willow goes to present her invitation. Portia snatches the invitation and throws it in the trash while sitting there looking irritated. It's obvious that treating you like a child isn't working. Willow has to find out who her fiancé truly is. In the last moments of the show, Lois stands up for her mother. It's her obligation because she accepted her values, even if they came from a different generation. That simply demonstrates the unshakable tie between a mother and daughter, according to Flora. Brooke Lynn will return. Perhaps, but for now Lois will give her daughter some space. She will return to Bensonhurst. Ada Turner threatens to have Marco arrested if he doesn't show up within a day. Gazing out of the questioning chamber, he sees Sidwell instructing Chase on what she must do. After returning to the hospital, Lucas thanks him for undergoing surgery and apologizes for being late. In response, Isaiah hands him a small envelope that was left for him. When Lucas opens it, he finds a card with a key and an address. Martin accepts Drew's wedding invitation, but only if he gets to charge him. Whoa, nice. Martin discovers a child's doodle on an envelope addressed to Monica behind a chair, as Drew tries to make a phone call. Martin wonders if he needs the paper when Drew returns. No. It appears that one of the children took something from the Quartermains and used it to draw on. Martin opens the mail and begins reading a note to Monica before he departs once more. He seems astonished after trailing off. When Willow tells Portia that discussing her personal life is improper, Portia responds by outlining it. In order to get her children back, Drew is blackmailing her into fabricating Michael's medical records to show that he is a drug addict. Your hero in shining armor is that you're getting married to that man. According to General Hospital spoilers, Willow Tate will be informed by Curtis Ashford about the affair that Drew Kane and Nina Reeves had just before she says "I do." But will she still go with the wedding? Fans know that no wedding in Port Charles ever goes off without a little trouble, so Willow and Drew will probably have their share of drama before the wedding. The ruthless congressman is scheduled to marry the nurse during the week of July 21st to 25th. All signs point to the CEO of Aurora Media giving Drew a taste of his own medicine, as evidenced by the scene in this week's GH teaser where Curtis bursts into Willow's bridal suite as she gets ready for her special day. Will Willow, however, be fazed by the news? Since she lost custody of Wiley and Amelia Corinthos, fans can tell she has changed. After the judge gave complete custody of the children to Michael Corinthos, Willow lost it, and she was admitted to the hospital immediately thereafter. Willow started attacking Sasha Gilmore's newborn baby, Daisy Gilmore, at this time as well, forcing the mother and daughter to flee Port Charles for safety. Liesl Albrecht immediately noticed the sour look that appeared on Willow's face when she was informed that Sasha and Daisy were leaving town. Given Willow's utterly uncharacteristic behavior, would Curtis ultimately tell her the truth about Nina and Drew, only for her to reverse course and proceed with the wedding? Given Willow's precarious mental state, she may be living in denial following Curtis' shocking revelation. She might claim that the man is lying and choose to go ahead and say, "I do anyway." Additionally, Willow may marry Drew out of pure desperation, since she does think that doing so will help her regain custody of her children. However, given that some GH viewers think Willow has dissociative identity disorder, there may be another storyline twist in the works. As a result, after hearing the news, one of her other personas can take over, and she might unexpectedly marry Drew despite what she has learned. According to General Hospital spoilers, fans should keep watching the ABC soap opera to see how things turn out, since there will be a lot of surprises surrounding Drew and Willow's wedding. According to Wednesday, July 23 General Hospital spoilers, Nina Reeves and Drew Kane will square off, and Willow Tate will make an unexpected move that surprises Portia Robinson. Here is what GH viewers may expect, since Sonny Corinthos will also obstruct Dante Falconeri. Sonny will not answer any of Dante's questions on the accusations of kidnapping he is facing or the entire situation with Jen Sidwell. This is one of those situations when Sonny needs to maintain his criminal life apart from Dante's police life. On Wednesday, Dante will also get another unwelcome revelation, which might have to do with Rocco Falconeri's recent friendship with Liesl Albrecht. After receiving unsettling information, Dante and Lulu Spencer might witness Rocco and Liesl meeting once more or even just hear their son's confession. Regarding Jason Morgan, he will talk to Carly Spencer about his suspicion that he saw Britt Westbourne at the Paris airport. Jason will be uncomfortable about it and won't be able to sleep until he has more knowledge, even if Carly doesn't think that's possible. Sidwell will be questioned by ADA Justine Turner regarding Marco Rios' perilous circumstances. However, since Sidwell is prepared to comply with Sonny's demands, at least for the time being, Marco ought to be free shortly. Lucas Jones appears to have all he needs to save Marco, as he was provided a key and an address. Lucas will ask if Marco is inside the room after repeatedly banging on the door. Marco might find it difficult to respond if the gag is still in place because he was gagged and bound the last time fans saw him. Lucas, however, is ready to open that door and give Marco the independence he has been seeking. Willow will react to Portia's admission at GH. Portia just bragged about how Drew had used extortion to coerce her into fabricating Michael Corinthos' medical documents in order to make Michael appear to be drug addicted. Now that Portia has stopped following Drew's rules, she will urge Willow to choose her own route and call off this wedding. Instead, Willow will fully commit to her marriage and even defend Drew's behavior. Willow will support Drew's mindset since she is prepared to go to any lengths to regain her children. Since Willow thinks Michael got in the mud first, she won't understand why she shouldn't join him. That maneuver will catch Portia off guard because Willow will insist on holding the marriage ceremony. As Willow's disturbing conduct worsens, Portia will see how tightly Drew has her. Nina will then confront Drew, which will lead to some arguments about Daisy Gilmore being singled out and chased out of town with Sasha Gilmore Corbin. Drew will maintain his innocence if Nina questions him about his potential involvement. Nevertheless, given all of Drew's terrible deeds, nobody could blame Nina for having the worst opinion of him. Will Nina come to the conclusion that Willow might have been the baby stalker after all? We'll see how long it takes Nina to realize that Willow is, in fact, the reason Sasha and Daisy left. In any case, Nina will not tolerate Drew's firm grip on Willow and might try in vain to call off this wedding. Drew had never anticipated having to confront Nina in such a situation. For months, their resentment had been simmering beneath the surface, restrained only by their mutual need to maintain harmony within the complex network of Port Charles families. However, it was unavoidable following the events in the Metro Court, and there was no going back now. There was an electric tension in the room. Nina's look was a disturbing mix of defiance and despair, while Drew's was taut with repressed wrath. With his teeth clenched, Drew replied in a low but lethal voice, "You crossed the line, Nina." Nina folded her arms and refused to back down, saying, "You don't get to manipulate people's lives and then act like you're the victim. Do you believe that I influenced Willow? I was attempting to keep her safe. She's experienced enough." Drew yelled, "You don't know what Willow needs. She doesn't need you trying to use her as your pawn. You never have." In actuality, Willow's most recent behavior had shocked everyone, particularly Portia. Nobody had anticipated that she would do something so daring and out of character. She had always been the one who kept everything under control, the go-between, the one who subtly brought Michael, Nina, and Carly together. However, it was clearly evident that she had changed. She was taking control of her surroundings rather than merely responding to them. It began with Willow making the quiet but important decision to go back to work at the hospital, this time in the administrative wing rather than as a nurse or patient advocate. Portia, who had thought Willow needed more time, was taken aback by the choice. Everybody had. Willow, however, had a clear head and eyes that had been absent for weeks. She was confronting her trauma, not escaping it, and doing so required separating herself from Nina and the others who had inflicted it. Despite her best efforts to be encouraging, Portia felt uneasy about Willow's decision. It was driven by a sense of urgency, almost aggression. It was a personal decision as much as a professional one. Furthermore, Portia started to think that Willow's choice was more than just an attempt at independence as she observed from a distance. There was a message. The altercation between Drew and Nina was getting worse back in the Metro Court. Nina remarked, "You're still upset about what transpired with Carly." Drew stepped closer, his tone now menacing, and said, "But don't make the mistake of thinking I'm the only one responsible for how everything fell apart. You took advantage of them. You gaslight them, lied to them, and acted as though you were the only one who gave a damn. You want to pretend that you were doing everyone a favor despite all the harm you caused and the lies you told?" Nina winced a little, but she didn't back down. "I erred. You did too. Carly did the same." Curtis, who had been observing from a distance and realized that things were getting out of control, interrupted them. "The difference is, I'm not pretending to be perfect." He moved calmly and authoritatively between them. "That's sufficient," he stated firmly. "This isn't helping anyone." Drew inhaled deeply, gave Nina a final glare and turned away. As he left, he whispered, "This isn't over." Curtis looked across at Nina. "Nina, what are you doing? Do you realize how close you are to destroying this town's bridges?" Nina rubbed her temples and sighed. "Curtis, I don't give a damn about bridges anymore. All I want to do is make Willow better." In the meantime, Willow was getting used to her new position at the hospital, walking the hallways with a calm assurance that Portia had never seen in her before. However, every time I try, someone is there to remind her of the reason she should despise me. She was no longer hiding in the shadows of Carly's or Michael's judgments. Even if her decisions had repercussions, she was making them on her own. Debating whether to approach her, Portia observed from a distance. She smiled but cautiously when she did. "Back to work already?" Portia spoke softly. Willow turned and nodded slightly. "I required this." Portia paused. "I need to feel like myself again. Just be careful not to exert too much pressure. It's a big step to come back like this." "I know," Willow said. "However, I have no intention of proving anything." Portia sensed that there was more going on beneath the surface. I need to live in truth again." "Is Nina involved in this?" Willow took a while to respond. Her eyes moved slightly, as though the mention of her mother's name set off a reaction that was more akin to grief than rage. She said, "I don't know what it's about anymore. All I know is that I'm sick of holding out for peace to arrive." Portia kept thinking about those words. "I want to create it." She was well aware of how trauma could mold individuals, and how sorrow might transform resolve into disobedience. Although Willow was admirably calm, she suddenly had a hardness about her that had not existed before. This was a shield she had created out of need. Michael was starting to see the change elsewhere too. His wife had stopped asking for his approval for anything. He didn't know where he fit into her life because she was acting impulsively. He found her engrossed in a discussion with hospital board members when he went to her office that afternoon. When he walked in, she didn't look up, so he waited until she was done talking. Partly amazed, partly concerned, Michael remarked, "You're really putting your all into this." Willow gave a small smile. "That's what we should do, isn't it? Invest heavily in something important?" Michael nodded, but she could see by his posture that he was still not comfortable. "Because of all that has transpired with Nina and Drew, I simply do not want you to do it. You don't need to convince anyone of anything." Willow gave him a long look. "I'm not. They are not the focus of this. It's about me," she said, although she knew something about it wasn't totally accurate. Carly's impending expectations, Drew's increasing pressure, and Nina's persistent meddling had all worn her down until she was unable to deny that her life was being molded by the struggles of others. She was reclaiming herself with this move, of changing the story. Nina sat by herself in her apartment later that night, gazing at a framed picture of Willow. There were no more tears in her eyes, but they were rimmed with red. She had tried everything: gifts, modest gestures, and apologies. Her daughter no longer seemed to receive anything. It was like a wall had been erected that she was unable to scale. Taking out her phone, she gazed at the message she had typed and then repeatedly erased. The statement, "I'm proud of you," was straightforward but accurate. As a mother, she was never able to convey that in a meaningful way. Certainly not without a hint of remorse or deceit. She contemplated sending it. She finally put the phone down though. Perhaps some silences were more compassionate than words. Drew poured himself a drink at the Quartermain home across town. He felt raw and unsatisfied after the encounter with Nina. He wasn't sure what he had hoped to achieve. Perhaps it was simply catharsis or some sort of reckoning. Rather, it served only to remind him of the extent of the damage already done. He thought of Willow as he gazed into the glass. None of this was fair to her. But for some reason, she was the one with the biggest load. Portia continued to think about their chat as she stayed by the nurse's station back at the hospital. She became concerned when she noticed Willow moving quickly down the hallway with a clipboard in her hand. She looked across at Elizabeth. "Has she changed in any way that you've noticed?" Elizabeth gave a slow nod. "She has never been stronger than she is now. But strength like that has a price." Portia didn't respond. She was already aware of the potential expense. Willow may be preventing her heart from healing by attempting to defend herself. And the fury, even the righteous sort, would finally overwhelm her if she was unable to let it go. The tension at Port Charles only increased over the next few days. Michael started to feel his family was slipping away from him. Nina persisted in her efforts to make amends, and Drew continued to pose a threat. Despite everything, Willow continued to move forward, quietly, fiercely, and with an unmistakable fire in her heart. And perhaps that was what Port Charles needed right now. Not more strife, but the silent resistance of a person who would not be broken.